I know you can buy it by the box. I've got a couple of mates, we'll just buy the box off you, just go get it, and we'll buy it off them. And there's the one down here near Woolworths.
Okay.
And there's an old guy owning it back then. And he goes, no, I'm not going to do it, like $300, I'm not going to take that risk. And I said, well, come on, mate, like, I'm telling you now, I'll put a deposit down and everything. He goes, no, mate, no, I'm not doing it. Because if you've got mates doing it, just go to the wholesaler and pay cash and buy it yourself. You go, you know what, I'll go and do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, that's how I started. And that was, for me, that was my start into low and slow. And I got that from, started on Facebook, advertising a little bit of me, and then before I knew it, I had sort of 20, 30 blokes coming around here.
Yeah.
And then like they all wouldn't come at once, like you get sort of dribs and goes. Like, I think the most I've had is probably about 30 people here at once, and that was like the week before Christmas a couple of years ago. I think even last year was pretty busy. Like I think I sold for the week before Christmas, I sold about 250 kilos of meat for the week. So, which is for a little shop like mine, it's pretty good. So today I'm going to show you how I trim and prepare. By all means, come close and have a look. So the Cape Brim short ribs are the ones that I prefer to use, and as Chris mentioned before, we find it really hard to find anything else that even compares to it. So what I've got out ready to go, I've got my mustard for that. The rub I'm going to use is the Texas beef and the Memphis, so they're the ones I was just telling you about. I've got my big knife for when I go and get my cooked ribs so that you can get to taste. We've got, this is the other half of the packet that I've actually already cooked. Alright, so just to show you that what we're dealing with. So straight out of the bag, get rid of the bag, straight into a rubbish bag, paper towel. Pat it dry. All that does is it just makes it easier to handle, makes it safer for you to handle as well, especially with knives. And because I'm using gloves, I don't actually have as good a grip on the knife with gloves.
Do you do that, is that room temperature or straight out the fridge?
No, straight out the fridge.
Okay.
Because normally what I do is, I will now go and put this, once I prep this, take me 5-10 minutes to prep it, I'll go put it straight into a preheated smoker. I won't actually rub it, leave it overnight, because of the salt content in the rub will actually dry it. You can find if you leave it too long, it'll dry it out. So basically the first step, we've patted it dry, it's ready to go. The next step is to start cutting into this top part here, because the smoke and the rub and the salt isn't actually going to penetrate past this silver skin or this membrane here.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to trim that off. So you're trimming it back to that layer there. So you find a spot, whether you've cut it or they've cut it, you just find a spot to start with. Get a little bit, get a very sharp knife and angle it up. It's like filleting a fish. You run it along the skin. This is very similar. If you do take too much off, don't stress, because you just come back and then just start again. So you find it might be a little bit hard to do it, you just get your knife in underneath that membrane. And like I say, the key is to having sharp knives. And like if you do find just taking too much off, just back it off a little bit and then have another go at it. You never get this off in one part, the top part. The bottom, the underside, you might get it off in one go if you fluke it. I think on my Instagram video last night, I done a live demonstration. I'm prepping the ones that I've already cooked. Again, let's find yourself a tag. These knives really need a proper sharpening. They're just, I don't know if it's because it's cold straight out the fridge or what it is, but they're really struggling today. You can get it sometimes and it just starts to peel off. I'm going up to Gisborne next week, up to the market. There's a bloke up there that sharpens your knives apparently. So, like I said, just angle your knife up, comes across. You can see the membrane coming off. Silver skin. Grab it and then work. It's ideal to work away from yourself, so if it does flick, it doesn't hurt you. I'll go through the cooking method in a minute as well for you, just so how I've done it. So just working in small sections, just break it down into small areas, and then just do one bit until you're happy, and then it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but the more attention to detail you get, the better result you're gonna find you have. Might be lucky enough to get this last piece off in one go. So I'm pretty happy with that. There's very little to that here that needs to come off. So that's the top part done. A little bit of fat there that I'll get rid of. So that's the top part done. We're not going to do anything with that yet. We're going to flip it over. This is the fun part. So you can use a fork or a knife or whichever you prefer. This part here is from the inside of the ribs, so where the stomach lining is, and this will turn to like a papery. You go to a restaurant or barbecue place that hasn't taken the membrane off the back, you get that really papery taste, and it's not very pleasant at all. I had some ribs last week, cooked absolutely beautiful, but they hadn't prepared them properly. They hadn't taken the fat off the top and they hadn't taken the membrane off the back. So just by fluke, I've lifted that back. That first layer of membrane's actually started to come back. That's what I had the paper towel for. Because it's slippery, just grab it with a paper towel. And that is what you're removing, just that first layer. So what I've done with these ribs that you're going to see today is a little bit different, and I'll show you what I've done when I get it back in. But I'm just going to sharpen this knife quickly. It's throwing the head in. It's just not holding its edge properly. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to have like that. Shadings off it. Next part we're going to do is in between the bones, and this basically helps when you bite into it, you're removing the rest of the membrane in between, which allows you to enjoy that meat that is actually in between the bone. So do a score on either side, running along the bone. And you angle it down in a V shape. And you're trying to get under that membrane there. And then you come back down the other side. You don't have to do this. This is just me being a little bit pedantic. The reason why short ribs are so good is there's a lot of connective tissue and layers of fat, which you can see just there. Have you ever seen those short ribs that look like lollipops? How?
Yes.
I'll show you how to get that. Again, we're going to do this on this next bone. We're going to go down in between. So you go down probably 1 to 2 millimeters. Get underneath the membrane, and this is the remaining 2 layers of membrane. And then just in a small cutting action, using the tip of the knife, you get underneath it. Now, to get those lollipop ones, what you do is you find, normally on one end, there is one end that's already starting to pull away from the bone. In this case, both ends are already starting to pull away from the bone, so what I'll do is I'll do it your side so it's closer. So I'll start by getting the heel of the knife, and you pull that membrane back. And then across that part, maybe 10 mil down or a centimetre from the bottom, just cut that bit of membrane off, and that releases the meat from the bone at that end, which allows it to basically push up, which then gives you the start. So you're basically helping it just push that first little bit. Again on the next one. There's the heel of the knife. It's not the most pleasant sound, it's a little bit like fingernails on chalkboard. Then you get the middle one. One trick that I've learned is you can roll them up. You can then use the heel of your knife to do the same again. So that's sort of 10 mil away from the edge. Now as that cooks, that's going to come back. That's going to give you that handle. So when you slice them once they're cooked, you're then going to get that lollipop effect. Like I said, with these ones, they are starting to pull back on the bone on that end as well, so you might find that there will be a little gap on that end as well. You can't really do much about that. That's basically your trimming done.
Yep.
Your next step, I use French's mustard, which I get from Costco. I also do sell it. there's a lot more liquid content than like the Master Foods one. I find the Master Food one or the other one is just too thick, and when you're doing, especially like brisket or pork butt, you want it to sort of get into the grooves and to stick. So it's a glue agent basically, and it just allows it, like all these little crevices, it's going to basically allow the rub to stick into those crevices. So when you do cook it, it's not going to just fall off. And then just liberally over the top. The only part you actually rub, only time you actually rub the meat is when you're applying the mustard. When you apply the rub or the actual seasoning, you don't actually rub it in, you only pat it in. Because if you rub it, you're just going to dislodge it all. Oh yeah, I just gotta mess my gloves. So with this, I start with Memphis first, so 3 Little Pigs Memphis. This is quite strong, but it actually is a pleasant flavour on beef. It really goes with beef really well. So you can actually go quite strong, quite thick with it. And then, as I said before, you don't actually rub it, you pat it. You allow that mustard to basically absorb that rub. Again, on that edge so it doesn't drop off. And you're doing this all the way around the meat. Now I still only do the top side, I don't do the underside, because you just, a lot of the time you don't actually, you're not eating the bones. It's just a waste really. Texas beef, this is by far my favourite beef brisket, beef rib rub. So it's a paprika base. It's got a couple of 3 or 4 different chilies in it. Again, we're just patting it down so that when we flip it up, we just don't lose all that rub that we've just put on there. We're going to lose a little bit, but we're not going to lose the lot. Again with this, just to the side. Last side bottom, finally. And that's how you prep beef short ribs. Put that straight into a smoker now at 250 to 275 degrees Fahrenheit. Cook it for 4 hours. Allow it then, have a look at it. Depending on your smoker, you might want to wrap it or boat it. Boating is when you put it in like aluminium foil and you fold up the sides like a boat, and then you add liquid to it, or you can actually use a foil tray, and then if you really want to speed the process up, you can actually cover the top of it with foil to increase the speed. It's kind of like wrapping. You then have, you do that for probably an hour to maybe 2 hours at the absolute most. Unwrap the foil from the top. That allows the bark to reform, because during that wrapping process it's going to steam and it's going to soften your bark. Open it back up and then cover and then just leave it uncovered for the remainder until you want those at about 195 degrees Fahrenheit internal. Do you have any other questions?
I'd like to see how you do it. Do you use a gas smoker?
Yeah. You can come around and have a look in a sec. I'll show you in a second. But the gas smoker is very simple. It's just a set and forget. It's just set and forget. And I was just telling Chris that I've sold 5 gas smokers this week, purely because the guys from the class that I run 2 weeks ago were just blown away at how easy it is to actually do it. Like, I got up once through the night, and I've had it's next to nothing to manage it. So
that's what scares me with this whole low and slow. Like they do the snake method, and I look at that and I think, no, it'd go out halfway during the night.
Yeah.
You know, and the charcoal thing and all that. You think, or wood. It'd be just too much fluctuate. You'd have to sit there all night and stare at it, or I would.
yeah.
And then it doesn't become enjoyable.
A little bit of temperature fluctuation isn't going to hurt it. So if it drops down to 195 and then back up to 250, it's not the end of the world. Like, as long as it's not spiking to constantly over 300, 350, spiking too hot, that's where your issues can come. If there's the inconsistency with it going up and down, that's where your temperature control can be a bit of an issue. I'll get cleaned up, and then you can taste some of the beef ribs that I got. But thanks for joining me for that. Did that help you?